On October 20th, 1967, me and Roger were riding up the creek in Bluff Creek, and we looked to past the root ball to our left, and up stood this creature. Now, you all know the story from here, but this is the confession. So, when I chased this creature up the bowling alley just after the sandbar there, she kind of put her two hands on this log and started to bend over and shake her rear end there profusely. And I saw those Bigfoot cheeks clap. And I looked back, and Roger, he was doing some relaxed dance. And he said, "Now everybody in the club getting tipsy." I'm not sure what that meant. And, well, all I thought was, they really are real. They really do exist. So that's the confession, and Russell Accord can suck my...
Yeah, well, a lot of folks did call him Two-Gun, but that wasn't because he was sporting two pistols. That was because he had a dick that was so big, it was longer than the barrel on that Walker Colt that he carried.
I'm here to do one thing, is to bring one of these creatures back. I don't want to talk right now.
So don't get mad.
Just keep the camera off right now, okay? I said I don't want to talk. You got it? Joan, get me a Snapple.
Let me sing you the song of my people. Yeah, it's that time of the night, and they're just going to be loud and noisy. But I am the Reverend Captain Gun Kelley, and you are watching, listening to, hanging out with the Squatchers Lounge podcast. That's right. Tonight we're talking about Bigfoot in Washington State and the newest encounters to come from that area. Hello, everybody, and welcome aboard. So glad that everybody here could join us. While I'm thinking about it, get a little bit of business out of the way. This episode is brought to you by the Indian Creek Fish Hatchery in Gold Beach, Oregon. Go if you're there. I'm sure Miss Mary could arrange a tour of the place. You could help feed the stupid little hatchlings. And if you've got a few extra bucks, definitely throw it their way, because it is tax deductible and they can always use your cash. And if you're a rich bastard, man, give them a few $100,000. Let's update the runs. Let's really make this thing into something cool. But I digress. You know, most of us are broke asses, and well, that's just where we're at. Don't forget to check out my friends over at Live Today Wonderland. They've got budget camping and camping gear reviews, all kind of stuff, camping in the snow, camping and all kind of stuff. So if you're interested in watching people adventure on out, you can check out my buddy Jason. I've known the guy since we were in high school, and his wife, and go and check them out at Live Today Wonderland. Yeah, on YouTube. There you go. So now we've got that out of the way. Yes, indeedy. Hello, everybody out there. It's getting to be a full house. Everybody's kind of packing in there. Let's see what's going on tonight. Washington State is what I chose for tonight. Well, because, it's like the number one Bigfoot reported city or state in the union. Yeah. What's big and hairy and lurks in the forest? Well, Bigfoot, of course. It just so turns out that Washington State has the most sightings of the mythical man-beast in the entire U.S., and you can decide how surprising that is. But let's get into some data in the meantime. While it may seem like Bigfoot in Washington have always been like peanut butter and jelly, that's not exactly the case. The modern-day Bigfoot legend actually began in Northern California in 1958, but it's worth noting that there was wild man myths across the globe, including Western Canada. Yeah, I can't pronounce that. By an extra vowel. First Nation. They have Sasquatch, which apparently is the origin of the word Sasquatch. That's why it's insulting for you to use the word squatch, because you're not saying it right. Whatever. So just how many sightings does Washington State have? Well, according to the BFRO, Washington has 703 reports The most recent ones were in December of 2021. Lewis County reports a possible sighting of Sasquatch crossing the interstate, and we will get into that in just a little bit. Other states with high sighting numbers include California with 456, Florida with 334, Ohio with 317, Illinois with 331 or 311, and more. So if you thought the Bigfoot was just a Pacific Northwest legend, you're definitely want to check out some of the listed sightings. And if you're wondering the only place without a sighting is the District of Columbia, well, that's because it's in the middle of the cities and there is no wildlife around it. Anyhow, for sure, you can check out that article via curiosity.com. Now, if we slip over here to the BFRO reports, November 2020, again, Grays Harbor County. It's quite a prolific place to find the Sasquatch. Between the town of Malone, Washington, and Porter, Washington, on Highway 12. And they got off work about 3:30 and was driving home. I was headed east, about 50 to 100 yards west of the figure, and saw something large and dark in color standing next to a tree up on a 15-foot hill. The edge of the hill was tree-lined with dense pine forest. It felt like slow motion as I was approaching the figure. I watched it make a 180 turn and walk back into the forest. The sighting only lasted about 3 seconds as I was traveling at 55 miles per hour, but felt like it lasted longer. The figure was very dark in color, but almost looked balding in some places on the body. The face looked close to a human and was lighter in skin color. 50 to 100 yards away, up a 15-foot hill at night. You can see the face. I would say it was probably 6 foot tall with a slim but muscular build. It wasn't broad in the shoulder, like we see in other photos. I could not see the facial features very well, other than lighter colors in the face, neck, and chest area. Well, then, how the hell would you know if it looked like a human? I don't know. Kind of crazy. Next up, October, of 2021, Stevens County. Let's see here. Friday, October 22nd, I was just left our local school homecoming football game in Springdale, Washington. 2 of my children and a friend of theirs, 2 high school freshmen and a mid-schooler, and we were driving south on Highway 231. As we approached the Sanctuary Way, just off the highway in the ditch, I noticed a very large black thing in the tall yellow uncut grass. I initially thought it must have been a black wolf, so I slowed down and stared at it as we approached, but by the time we drove to it, we were traveling at 35 miles per hour. As we reached it, I was in shock and amazement that it was an ape-like figure, hunched down in the ditch, staring right at me. From the crouched position, he or she took 2 steps away from the road. It was almost as if it was slow motion, as I felt our eyes were locked and its head was on a swivel as we rolled by. I wished I had slammed on the brakes, but we had 2 cars behind us, and I was literally shocked. We turned at the first turnabout available 60 yards up the road and let the cars go by and returned to the location, but did not see or hear anything. Pum, pum, blah. And then December 21st, December 2021 in Lewis County. That's right. A link to the pin on the Google Maps. It is here. Was headed northbound. The creature crossed the highway from east to west. Driver was on 12:30 a.m. on I-5 in the winter storm. There were about 3 or 4 other cars on the highway at the same time. I've never followed Bigfoot sightings or reported one before, and it seemed like the best option to try and reach other folks. I was driving northbound from Seattle to Portland. The flights in the CUAC were canceled, and I managed to get a flight from San Diego to Portland. I decided I would drive home because Alaska Airlines was telling me it might be 2 more days. After I saw this thing cross the highway, I marked the location on Google Maps. It was 24 degrees outside, snowing. The roads were icy, snow-packed, and it was dark. There was no streetlights. There was a tall cement median separating the northbound lanes. On my right-hand side, it was just dark forest. I was hyper-focused on the road because of the dangerous conditions and freezing temperatures, and I saw directly out in front of me, I thought was a black shadow floating westbound across the highway from the east side towards the median. As I got closer, maybe 50 to 100 feet away, I realized or assumed it was a person. I thought to myself, what the hell are they doing? Crossing the highway in the middle of the night, in the middle of the freezing cold winter storm, in the middle of nowhere. I slowed down not to hit them. There were no cars stranded on the side of the road that I could see, only dark forest. So who were they and why they were there coming from, I thought. For a second, I thought they jumped out of the truck ahead of me, but thought that there's no way it moving 40 miles per hour. I then noticed the way it moved effortlessly across the cement wall. It didn't even look like it jumped the wall. The whole traverse in front of me and across the median looked like it was gliding or floating with an unusual ease. Unusual ease. Isn't that the way it always sounds? Speaking of unusual ease, let's check out this week's Quasi theory. And now, Quasi theories from a quasi scientist with your host, Dean Cooper.
Nibiru's at it again. Most of you are probably aware that the end times were supposed to start last Saturday, the 23rd of September. David Mead, a self-proclaimed researcher, says so. When the 23rd came and went with no noticeable worldwide apocalypse occurring, he said he was misunderstood. The 23rd was just a marker date he had calculated, and that there would soon be much more noticeable events. Doomsday, for example, starting on October 15th. The planet Nibiru will make some sort of pass at the Earth, the world's electrical grid will collapse, and the long-awaited 7 years of tribulation will begin. Wars, famine, fires, volcanoes, tidal waves, earthquakes. Although how this makes the end times differ from regular times is beyond me. Now, as to the complete non-existence of the planet Nibiru, I refer you to my quasi-theory from a year ago March. 2 comets plus a Hopi prophecy do not equal doomsday from a 12th planet. I shan't rehash poor Nibiru again today. No, what I am going to hash up here is a bit of Mead's methodology by which he came up with this prediction of his. To wit, he says he is using numerology to get a lot of his numbers and dates. He's doing numerology on the Bible. Numerology is bogus, of course, just like most forms of divination. But it is a modern bastardization of an ancient system of encoding hidden meanings into stories and poems. That system was called, in Greek, gematria. Briefly, most of the ancient Mediterranean cultures like Greece and Rome didn't use separate symbols for numbers when they did any math. These days we use what are called Arabic numerals, which were actually invented by Hindus in India. The Mediterranean simply used their alphabets, like the Roman numerals. The Greeks, and Greek was the actual language of the Roman Empire, went alpha is 1, beta is 2. You get the idea. Many philosophers and poets back then actually encoded hidden meanings and messages in their writings. The name of a hero, for example, would be spelled in such a way as to, when you added up the numerical equivalent of the letters of the name, it would give you a clue as to the real underlying meaning of the story or poem. Gematria is actually much more complicated than that. There were rules for taking all these numbers gotten from adding up the letters and doing some math with them, adding, subtracting, all sorts of little things. If you were initiated into the system, you could hide all sorts of things in your writings, things that could only be figured out by other initiates. I use the words initiate and initiated for a reason. Gematria was invented by the founders of the ancient mystery religions, and you had to be initiated into those mysteries to know how to use Gematria. The Greco-Roman religion consisted of numerous cults to individual gods. Bacchus, Apollo, Diana, Demeter, Venus, Heracles, all had their cults. The Christian New Testament was written by people who had been initiated into the mystery religions. It has a lot of things that can be read via Gematria, but the Gematria has to be done on the Greek text, not on the Latin, English, or whichever, but on the original Greek text, which we ain't got no more. It gets better or worse depending on your point of view. No one knows all the real rules for gematria. Some claim to know them, but the initiates into the mysteries never wrote them down. There is one example of gematria in the book of Revelations for which the real meaning is known. It is the number 666, the number of the beast. The Hebrew name of the Messiah was Yehoshua. You can certainly spell that in Greek letters, but the authors of the New Testament spelled it as Jesus. That's Iota, Eta, Sigma, Omicron, Upsilon. They add up to 888. Pythagoras said that 888 is the number of the perfected human. Therefore, Jesus' name had to add up to 888, he being the only perfect human in all. Pythagoras also said that 666 is the number of the carnal man, who lives only to satisfy his lustful urges. Therefrom comes the number of the beast. So, when someone like Meade starts using numerology, not gematria, on their English Bible to figure out what the gods have in store for us, they might as well put out a Ouija board or inspect chicken guts or maybe throw some yarrow sticks and consult the I Ching. It will be at least as reliable as mixing selected bits of the Old Testament with selected bits of the New Testament and then running them over with a rogue planet. You may read the text of this on my blog at bydeen.com. That's BHDIN.com.
Well, there you go. If you're deep into the religion, yeah, I can't figure out why it is that modern Christians even care about the Old Testament, because they're supposed to be following the New Testament of Jesus, but it's all so damn confusing. Yeah. All I know is churches are for sinners and broken ass people, and they're full of them all the time. Speaking of being full of them, let's check out this week's camping tips for stupids. That's right. Now I gotta do that, and then I have to do that. I have to do that. Yes. Allow that. Whoa! No, that was bad. Whatever that was. Stop that. that I have no idea what the hell that was. That's what I wanted. See, that's all I really wanted. All right, here we go. Let's try this out.
Camping tips for stupids. Tip number 42. God is good. That's why he made all these motherfuckers. Wasp. Bug season is upon you all, and you're all gonna die. Wasps are the most widespread, common stinging insect out there, buzzing all around, looking for easy victims. Hippie liberal millennials with their damn man buns. All you always is going to get stung. It's a fact of life, I'm afraid. So here now are some tips and tricks on how to ease your suffering and greet your ancestors in the great halls of Valhalla like a boss. Now, with bees, the first step is to scrape off the stinger. But wasps don't leave stingers and can sting your ass multiple times. So the first step would be to get that fucker off of you as fast as possible, and then kill it. My favorite method is a flamethrower. Like the famous saying goes, kill it with fire. Now, make sure you clean the sting side with good antibacterial soap, because like non-toxic spider bites or flea or tick bites, it's the bacteria on them that cause nasty infections under the skin layers. So wash your dirty ass with soap. Then put an ice pack on it to stunt the swelling, and take some pain pills. And then thank your God that you don't live in Japan, where they have the Asian giant hornet, which can reach up to 2.5 inches in fucking size, actively hunt and destroy nearby bee colonies, and have a 1/4 inch stinger with venom so goddamn powerful it actually dissolves little pits of flesh around the sting site. This has been Camping Tips for Stupids. Remember to stay away from rural Japan.
Fuck Japan. Did I say that out loud? Yeah, well, I did. So, yeah, that's how we do that. There we go. Hello, everybody. That's right. Look at that. Got the old haircut done. That's right. Shaved off the beard. Happens. Summertime's coming. You know, got to do what I got to do. Let's see who's hanging out here in the live hangout chat room with us tonight. If I can scroll all the way back up to the top, there's Miss Bella Allegri is with us. Hello there, Miss Bella. And the number one watcher of the rerun shows, Mr. Shane Barber himself. Hello, Shane. Glad you were with us. Reverend Tim is with us as well. Hello, Reverend Tim. Let's see here. There's Aaron and Mary Duncan. They run the Indian Creek Hatchery. So, you know, you want to get a hold of them, they'll be glad to talk to you about it for sure. They always put, 70 to 90,000 of those little bastards right back in the river every single year. Mr. Ken the Viking. Hello there, Ken Reif. Glad you're with us, sir. And there's Mr. Cooper himself, our Quasi theorist. Hello there. Glad you checked in with us, sir. Let's see here. Who else was here and here? Well, there's our friend Tommy Boston. Hello, Tommy. It's a wicked pisser out there. It was hot today. It's freaking hot. Yeah, them pug wedgies, man. Them things ain't nothing. I got a file on my channel about pug wedgies, man. I know all about them little bastards. You need to punt them things as far as you can, like a bad rooster chasing you. Let's see here. Who else is in the house with us tonight? I saw some other people in here. Let's see. That asshole Jeffrey Kelly is in the house. Hello there, you dick. There's Rod Dupree, the Reverend Rod. He's always in the place to be. That's right, Joan. Get me a Snapple. Fubar Frank. Hello, Fubar. Glad you could join us live tonight. An old Bigfoot Campfire Stories fan. Glad you were able to watch the show with us tonight. Yes, that is my puppy that used to be Fruity Lou. Come here, baby. Come here. Come up. Oh, do you see this thing? No, I'm not. Whatever. You dogs are morons. She's no longer the little tiny thing that she used to be. Let's see here. Dogman Central's in the house with us tonight. Hello there, Mr. Dogman Central. Dixie Q. Hello, Dixie Q. She usually hangs out around Dixie Normus. Let's see here. Heather Lindell. Hello, Heather Lindell. I'm glad you're in the house with us tonight as well. And if I missed you, I'm sorry. I don't mean to. Mr. Fang 333 is out there hanging around. He may still join us for the camp out. I don't know yet. We are going June 7th to the 11th to the Bluff Creek area, and we are going to visit the Bluff Creek film site from 1967, where Roger and Bob took the video of Patty. Hello, Prairie Fire. Glad you have joined us as well. I think I have mentioned everybody now. That's right. Dixie Normus says hello, Dixie Normus. All right, I think we are good. I don't want to miss anybody. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. If I missed you, speak up. I'll make sure that I mention you. Hey, Bucknard, the Bigfoot guy. There he is. Hey, long time no see in the live chat, buddy. I'm glad you are with us tonight as well. So let's kick this over here to where we were before. There we are. Allow it. And we'll get back to what we was talking about with sightings in Washington State. Now, Washington State supposedly has 701 total confirmed Bigfoot Field Research Organization reports, adding 12 reports for 2021 from 7 different counties, up from 70 reports in 2020. That is up from 659. The number used in the presentation in the summer of 2019. The newest reports Possible Sasquatch howls north of the Leavenworth, east of Lake Wenatchee. Cabin renters report wood knocks and rock throwing near Leavenworth. Over in Old Jefferson County, there was a rock thrown at a vehicle, plus Class B sightings 5 miles north of the, can't even see that to read it. In Kitsap County, close range, 5:30 a.m. crossing sighting by commuting motorists. Kittitas County, heavy thuds and distinct rock clacking north of Tenaway Butte. Possible encounter in the darkness outside of Cle Elum. Sure. Possible sighting in tracks in the... God, what is with all these damn names I can't pronounce? Jesus Christ. Property owners hear vocalization similar to an orangutan near Easton. In the Pend or buy a consonant or two in there. God. Backpackers describe possible camp stalking by a Sasquatch around midnight near Salmo Priest Wilderness. In Spokane County, possible sighting of a gray Bigfoot in Riverside State Park at 5 a.m. And over in Stevens County, the nighttime motorist sighting 25 miles northwest of Spokane. A retired wildlife biologist reports gravel thrown at a truck. Oh my God. A vocalization and wood knocks on Radar Dome near Colville. Those are the confirmed data when the BFRO assigns a Bigfoot investigator. Oh, God damn it, with your big ass dog. Knocked my damn trash can over. 12/27/21. We just saw that report there. That was the had a sighting tonight. It was up in a tree watching my horses. July 10th, 2021. When I went out to see what they were spooked about, it jumped from the tree and ran off. It was very tall, dark fur, ran off on 2 legs. Happened about 9:15 p.m. in Lewis County. The person who reported the sighting created a map with the approximate distance on their phone and shared the image for reference. They reported that the creature ran off towards the upper right-hand corner of the image. Vocalization heard on Lake St. Clair in Thurston County. The Bigfoot real feed. The BFRO site documents an interesting vocalization that was heard on Lake St. Clair by a couple visiting the area from California. Let's see here. 1971 Sasquatch report from Skamania County. After a number of sightings in 1971, KGW ventured out to Skamania, Washington to interview people who claim to have seen the legendary yet elusive creature of Northwest lore. The KGW reporter is John Tuttle. He talked with a witness who came face to face with the creature, she said, near Beacon Rock, and also talked with the publisher of the Skamania County Pioneer newspaper about various citizen reports. The local sheriff, who made the now discounted plaster cast of the reported Bigfoot print, and a member of the Skamania County Council that had passed a no Bigfoot hunting ordinance that made it a crime to shoot a Bigfoot, as the sightings had drawn trappers and hunters from around the nation trying to capture the mythical mammal. Bigfoot seen on Bald Hills Roads in Yelm, Washington. Southwest of Yelm in Thurston County, Bald Hills Roads once snaked its way through dense stands of old fir trees on its way to the prairies of Yelm towards the Bald Hills at the foot of Mount Rainier. Almost all of the forests on both sides of the road had been clear-cut, logged down to nothing, and replaced with faux mini mansions, modular homes, and whatever it able to grow back in the last 15 years. It was just over. I saw a Bigfoot in Bald Hills Road in Yelm, Washington. It was just over 6 foot tall, hair on his body about 4 inches long, orangutan long arms, orange glowing eyes. This is a true story. Scared the crap out of me. Thought I'd share my experience with you. Orange glowing eyes. Yeah. Gotta love those. The orange glowing eyes. I want them all to be real. I really, 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 really do want them to be real. But for God's sakes, orange glowing eyes. I mean, come on. Anytime sighting along the Feather River. Yeah. Yeah, portal demon. Yeah, exactly. It's funny that no one on TV ever asks Adam Davis about the 3-foot portal demons that he did battle with for 3 nights in Soho, the Southern Oregon habituation site or outfit or whatever the hell it was called. Anyhow, guys, that's Washington State. All the latest stuff that comes out of there. I've been there. I've done some bigfooting in Washington State myself. Was on the Indian reservation. Indian reservations. That's feathers, not dots. With the Browns, and investigated that sighting over there. And for sure, it's a very squatchy place. I mean, there's no reason that if Bigfoot are anywhere, they would definitely be there as well. So with that, we're going to wrap up this edition of the Squatchers Lounge podcast. That's right. We will be back next Wednesday, with an all-new show. I do have a Bigfoot campfire story for you. It's a great one, so you might want to stick around for that one. I hang out for chat as well. And until then, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I love each and every one of you, and I'm so glad you're here. For those who can give out some healing waves, give them out to the people that need them. And for those of us that need them, well, we're just going to suck that energy back in, because we all know we've got our issues and we're trying to get along despite them. And with that, thanks so much for being here, and may the Squatch be with you. What the hell is that? I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that was a Bigfoot. Let me tell you a story. Welcome to another Bigfoot Campfire Stories. It was the summer of 1999, and I was investigating an area of farmland within the Ocala National Forest. While I checked in with the local grocery store and picked up some supplies, the clerk I usually talk to pulled me aside and told me I should head up 19 apiece and talk to the sheep rancher near Grasshopper Lake. So I finished up my business. That's exactly where I went next. This is the story that the rancher told me. Well, I had been out on my four-wheeler all day with the dogs rounding up the sheep. Me and the dogs were on the back meadow area, and the sheep weren't acting right at all. Usually they know the drill and they just let the dogs do their jobs, but today that just wasn't the case. Well, there was a narrow wooded cut that we had to go through to get onto the other side, and none of the sheep wanted to enter it whatsoever. Well, every time we got the sheep moving, they would all turn when they got to the wood line, and it just made no sense at all. So I drove my four-wheeler into the tree line and checked for any predators, and sure enough, there was a really nasty odor of something dead. Well, I searched the area until I found the source, and sure enough, it was one of my sheep, dead and ripped open at the organs. Something had gotten to it, that was for sure. The neck was snapped straight back, very strangely. Well, I had to get this herd past the spot, so I went back and I grabbed the lead sheep and I put her across my four-wheeler, and finally the sheep followed us through the woods and back towards the corral. Well, I'd planned to go out later and burn the body in place and get rid of the smell of the carcass. Once on the other side of the wood patch, I put the lead sheep back down and the dogs took care of the rest, and things seemed pretty normal after that. Well, it was getting late and the sun had already set long before I was finished putting the sheep up, so it was too late to bother with that carcass for now, so I just put the dogs up on my four-wheeler into the barn and went inside for dinner. Well, I'd cleaned up and sat down with the wife to eat, and she asked me if I caught the animal that was running around the backyard just before I came in. She said he'd been out there for a while this afternoon, just pushing trees around and whooping like a big monkey or something. Well, I thought for sure she was joking, but the Seminoles have legends of Bigfoot around here. Could they be right? Well, we were finishing up our meal when the whooping started again from just out back. Well, I grabbed my big flashlight and we headed out to the back porch. We stood there listening to something in the wood line right behind the house. Every once in a while, it would whoop like a big, loud, deep monkey. Well, I stepped off the porch alone, and I told the wife to stay where she was, and I walked down towards the wood line, calling out to try and scare whatever it was away. Well, just as I got close to the wood line, everything, and I mean everything, got silent. It was very eerie feeling. I shined the light around trying to make out anything, but it was dark out there. Well, I turned around to start to walk back towards the house, and before I could react, something ran out of the woods, grabbed me by the leg, and was dragging me into the woods. Well, I still had my light, so I was shining it right on whatever the hell it was. I couldn't believe it, but this was a giant ape Bigfoot thing, had me securely around the leg. Well, I began kicking it with the other leg and shining a light at its head, and it finally dropped me about 12 meters or so into the woods and then scampered off. The wife screaming out for me. She had already grabbed my shotgun from inside the house, called 911. I could hear her yelling at them on the phone that some monster had carried me off into the woods. Well, I called out to her so she wouldn't shoot me, and I ran my way back into the house. Well, a few minutes later, the local sheriff showed up with 3 cars and a canine, and they went straight out to the backyard and began searching for anything. Well, it wasn't long before huge footprints were located near the creek in the back, leading away from the property. Well, the men tracked it up the creek for a while, but until the tracks just went cold, the dogs lost all interest, so they all returned back to my farm. We talked about what happened, and they kept asking me what the guy looked like, but they weren't very happy when I kept telling them he was 8 foot tall, covered in hair, and whooped like a huge monkey. The sheriff kept insisting that he couldn't put that in the report, and after an hour of arguing with him, he finally marked it down as unknown animal attack. Filled out his paperwork just the same way. Well, the wife and I now stay vigilant, and I never leave the house unarmed anymore. It was the single most disturbing thing I've ever had happen to me in all my years. Well, this farmer knows what it's like to be challenged by a Bigfoot and never wants to know that feeling again. Thanks for listening. I'm Reverend Jeff. May the Squatch be with you.